Well, now for something completely different. Yes, this very definitely is different. I saw this on eBay and I just had to put a bid on it. I just couldn't resist it. It's just such an unusual thing. So what is it? Well, basically what it is, it's a wooden, mainly wooden model of a twin cylinder piston valve steam engine. I think it's meant to be like a mill engine of that style of engine, but it's pretty crude, and we'll close in on various different bits of it in a minute. But what makes this amazing, in my opinion anyway, is this actually works. This actually runs, and it's powered by a very, very old gramophone Clockwork motor, which is in this big box bit at the bottom here. So what we'll do is, as I said, we'll close in and have a look at the various bits of it, and then I'll run it so you can actually see this thing running. Now, I have not done anything to this. This is literally as it came out of the box. It was extremely well packed by the seller. It was double boxed, which is, you know, the way you really want to do stuff like this. However, the seller had removed a couple of bits that were screwed on. This plate at the end here, which has the pressure gauge, which I think you can see there. We'll close in on that in a minute, because I have a feeling that pressure gauge is actually the face from a lady's wristwatch. So we'll close in and have a look at that in a minute. So that's been unscrewed. This is purely to avoid damage, I think, during shipping. And also the cylinder, which is a cover, which is actually normally hinged. Normally this would hinge up like that so that you can gain access to the Clockwork motor. That has also been unscrewed. And I'm pleased he did this, because you know, these are bits that stick up, so it avoids any kind of damage, which is great. So yeah, so we'll close in on various parts of this, and you can have a closer look. Yeah, so there's the pressure gauge, which, as I said, I'm fairly certain is the face from a lady's wristwatch, but it works. It's a dummy gauge, but it's great. It works. It's superb. Now these flywheels here, they're actually wood, but they've been painted in a brass colour to make them, you know, look like brass. Now I think this thing is very old. Certainly, I don't know. I don't have any ages on it, but looking at it, I'm fairly certain that this was made quite a long time ago. So we'll close in on the main part of the engine now. So yeah, here's the main part of the engine, which, as I said, it all moves. This is the drive pulley, and that goes down to the Clockwork motor, the big pulley there. But yeah, this is basically all these parts are all wood. This needs a real good clean up. I haven't touched it yet. As I said, this is literally as it came, but I'm not going to do anything to it other than clean it. Basically, that's, you know, just want to clean it. But yeah, so there's that's the main engine part. As I said, it's pretty crude, but I just think this thing is just amazing. Okay, so this is a shot inside looking at the Clockwork motor. Now, as soon as I saw this, and I'll get you further over so you can see it in a minute. As soon as I saw this, I thought, I reckon this is an old gramophone Clockwork motor. And I'll change the angle so you can see a little bit deeper into the thing. There we go. Let's move the light around a bit. Now this thing here, that's flyball regulator. See? And these were very common on the early Clockwork wind-up gramophones from the sort of like 1920s era. And the more I've looked at this motor, I think this is a Thorin's motor, which is one of the several manufacturers of gramophone Clockwork motors at that time. So yeah, very interesting. Unfortunately, without taking it apart, you can't really get, you know, much of a better look at the motor than this. But you can see the gears and everything, and the flywheel, and the spring is that big metal can over there. The spring's inside that. Okay, so how does this thing work? Well, This is obviously the winder, this thing that's sticking out here, and there was rather a crude sort of key with it, which is, I'm going to have to make a new one of those because this really is bad, but it works, so we'll use it for now. So this screw here, you basically wind this in. This presses against the lever, which basically disengages the Clockwork motor, locks it up basically, so that you can wind it up without turning this. So we'll just wind that in like that. That will now allow me to wind the Clockwork motor. And I did check before I ran this that the actual Clockwork motor, all the cogs and gears have been oiled, so they're not running dry or anything. So I mean, obviously it's very old. Like I said, I think it comes from a 1920s type gramophone. I'm sure that's what it is. Right, that should be enough. And then basically to start it up, we just undo this screw, and it should run. So I'll turn it round. And we'll get it into a position where you can see it. Let's just adjust the camera a bit. Right, so we'll undo this screw. And off it goes. Isn't that amazing? I'm sorry, I just think this is truly incredible, as you can probably tell by my voice. Now, I mean, obviously it depends on how much you wind it as to how long it runs for. And I don't want to overwind it. I just think it's amazing. Right, let's give it one more go. I mean, whoever thought this up, whose ever idea this was, it was just pure genius. I absolutely love this thing. I'm going to give it a damn good clean. And I'm going to clean that. This is a rubber drive belt, but it's quite hard now. So I'm going to probably put it in some warm to hot water and just give it a good clean and a soak, and hopefully make it a little bit more subtle again. And yeah, just clean all the wood parts. I think if you give it a really good wind, it would probably run for quite a long time. Because they're quite powerful springs, and obviously there's quite a lot of gearing involved in the gramophone motor. But isn't it amazing? I just think this thing's absolutely incredible. So there you go, Clockwork model steam engine. Right, I'll get it cleaned up, and we'll come back and have a look at it again. While the Clockwork steam engine is done, I ended up doing quite a bit more work to it than I initially thought I would. I took all the motion off to clean it up and discovered something quite bizarre. There's quite a lot of brass on this engine, believe it or not. These handrails are brass, the piston valve is brass, the metal parts of the conrods and the piston valve rod are all brass, and the mounting plates for the crankshaft, they're all brass, and this little plate at the back here, that was also brass. Every single bit of that was painted gold. Why would anyone paint brass gold? I don't really understand that. So I took it all off and cleaned all the paint off and polished it up. And what else have I done? Yeah, I soaked the this rubber drive belt in some hot water with some soap, and that's totally rejuvenated it. It's nowhere near as hard as it was, and it's actually quite flexible now, so that's good. What else? Let's let it come round. Yes, we got a new windy up key, much better I think than the original. I've relocated this, and this is now on its hinges, so that's how it was supposed to be, so that you can gain access to the Clockwork motor. What else? Oh yeah, I took the paint off the outside edge of the flywheel. I just thought it made it look a little bit more like a flywheel that way, and I think it's basically it is an improvement. And then I just basically cleaned up the rest of it. But the thing that why it took so long is I'll let it come around and we'll change the camera angle, and I'll close in on this top part here. Yeah, so basically this piece of wood here, the top piece of wood was very, very filthy. So I took all of the motion off. This obviously wasn't on at the time, and the rails and everything. And I basically cleaned it all up. Then I sanded it, and then I put several coats of finishing oil on it, and it's improved it no end. I also spent some time removing the gold paint. Well, most of it. I've missed a few little bits from the crank ends, and so they are now just wood. And I've obviously put some finishing oil on those as well. But yeah, all of this brass work and this plate here, and it was all painted gold. You know, the colour of this thing here, which is just well, odd really. But anyway, I think it's come out okay, so I'll wind it up and we'll get it running. Okay, here we go. Doesn't make a lot of noise. As you can see. I'll stop it there and close in on the motion. It actually runs quite smoothly. I did try and straighten out the the crankshaft a little bit, as it was quite bent. It's only really a bent up piece of wire, so but yeah, it runs well. It really does, and for quite a long time too. I haven't really tried to wind it excessively. Basically just wind it up to what I think is about right. You get a few minutes runtime out of it, which is pretty good. So there you go. A Clockwork steam engine. I think this thing is truly wonderful, and you know, whoever built this, I don't know whether it's still out there, but if you see this, I hope that you enjoy it, because it's a fantastic thing, and I intend to use it as often as possible, because it's just great. Other improvements, I may well change this bracket, because this is the only piece of metal up here which actually isn't brass. So I think I might replicate that in brass. And but other than that, no, I think it's a amazing bit of kit. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Look at this little Clockwork steam engine, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.